Today, we're diving into one of the most baffling and frankly heartbreaking missing person cases you'll ever hear about, the disappearance of Kyron Horman. It's a story that forces us to ask a question that is just deeply unsettling. I mean, really think about that. How does a 7-year-old kid just disappear from his own school, a place that's supposed to be one of the safest places on earth for a child? How does he vanish from inside its walls on a busy morning, literally surrounded by hundreds of people?
So, let's go back. The day is June 4th, 2010. It's a Friday at Skyline Elementary in Portland, Oregon, and for all intents and purposes, it started out like any other day. Completely, totally normal.
But for 7-year-old Kyron, this was not just any school day. No, this was a big one. It was the day of the annual science fair, and he was so excited. He showed up with his stepmother, Kyron Horman, and he just couldn't wait to show everybody his project on red-eyed tree frogs.
Okay, so this timeline is absolutely crucial. They get to the school around 8 a.m. By 8:45, his stepmother says she saw him for the last time walking down the hall toward his classroom. That's a 45-minute window. And his first class? It was supposed to start just 15 minutes after that.
And somewhere inside that very small window of time, a moment was captured on camera. A moment that would become the absolute focal point of this entire investigation.
And here it is. This is the last photograph ever taken of Kyron Horman. You see him standing there, just beaming, so proud of his project. It's such a happy, innocent, normal moment, which of course has become just so haunting over time.
And this quote from an investigator really nails why this picture is so important. It's the last piece of solid, concrete proof that puts him at that science fair that morning. After this photo was snapped, the trail just goes completely cold.
For hours after that photo was taken, the school day just went on as usual. Bells rang, classes happened, no alarms were raised, nobody had any idea anything was wrong. The first sign that something was terribly, terribly wrong wouldn't come until the final bell rang.
Now, every school has a system pretty much like this one, right? It's a routine built for safety. The teacher takes attendance, kids go to their classes, and at the end of the day, they're walked to their bus and checked off a list. It's a simple process that works thousands of times a day, every day. But on this day, it didn't.
And this right here, this is the critical failure. Kyron never made it to his homeroom. He should have been marked absent, and the school should have immediately called his parents. But instead, a substitute teacher mistakenly marked him as present. Just a simple clerical error, a mistake that meant a whole school day drifted by before anyone even knew he was missing.
So fast forward to 3:30 that afternoon. The school bus pulls up to Kyron's bus stop, same as always. His dad and his stepsister are right there waiting for him. But when the bus doors swing open, Kyron wasn't there.
And this is that moment. The moment that initial confusion starts to curdle into real dread. He wasn't in class. He's not on the bus. Those are the two places he was supposed to be. So the question is just hanging there in the air. Where in the world could he be?
What happens next is a series of frantic phone calls. That feeling of concern quickly turns into pure panic, and it all leads to the one call that no parent on earth ever wants to make.
Look at how quickly this all unravels. At 3:45, the family calls the school and gets the horrifying news. He was marked absent all day. They realize he hasn't been missing for a few minutes. He's been missing for almost 7 hours. Just 15 minutes after that, it's a full-blown emergency. The 911 call is made.
In law enforcement, they always talk about the golden hour. It's actually the first 24 hours, and it's the absolute most critical time to find clues and hopefully find a missing person alive. But because of that one attendance error, by the time police were even called, almost a third of that precious time had already evaporated.
Instantly, Skyline Elementary was transformed. What had been a place of learning and laughter just hours earlier was now the center of a massive, desperate search operation and a potential crime scene. And the response was just immense. This wasn't just a few local officers looking around. This became the largest search and rescue operation in the entire history of the state of Oregon. The sheer scale of it tells you how seriously everyone took this from the very beginning.
Investigators just cast this incredibly wide net. They searched every single inch of that school and its huge 90-acre campus. They re-interviewed every student, every staff member. They stared at that last photo looking for any clue. And of course, they began to look very, very closely at the timeline provided by his stepmother, Terry, the last family member who saw him.
I mean, just look at the sheer number of people involved. We're talking more than 500 law enforcement officers, over 1,300 trained volunteers, and literally thousands of people from the community who just dropped everything to come and help. It was an army of people, all with one goal: find Kyron.
And this is the devastating part. After all of that, all of those people, all those hours, days, and weeks of relentless searching, they found nothing. Not a single piece of clothing, not a footprint, not a single trace of Kyron Horman has ever been found. It's like he just vanished into thin air.
You know, this case just struck a nerve with parents everywhere because it attacks this fundamental belief we all have. We believe that when we drop our kids off at school in the morning, they're safe. Kyron's disappearance makes us face the terrifying thought that maybe they're not.
And that's really the chilling contrast at the center of this whole story. The very place that's designed for structure, monitoring, and safety became the site of an impossible mystery. The systems that we all count on to keep our kids safe, they just failed.
To this very day, the investigation into what happened to Kyron Horman is still active. But after well over a decade, there are still no real answers. No arrests have ever been made, and there's no closure for his family. There are only questions.
And that brings us right back to the biggest, most disturbing question of all. On a busy Friday morning, during a science fair with hundreds of kids and parents and teachers all walking around, how is it possible? How is it even remotely possible that not one single person saw what happened to Kyron Horman?